Hello, how are you today? So this is a video demonstrating a common problem that I encounter in practice when specifically I get referrals from other dentists, and sometimes when I'm just doing general dentistry. We've got a tooth which has got a significant amount of decay. The restorability is under question. The tooth is obviously infected and the patient is really keen to try and save the tooth. So this is kind of a restorability check, and when I see patients like this under consult, obviously we see them for a half-an-hour appointment. We talk about the problem that they're having, we talk about the diagnosis, we check that, we also talk about options, and when the patient decides that they want to try and save the tooth, under these circumstances, what I don't go straight for the root canal. I don't go straight for the 2-hour appointment, because the prognosis of this tooth or the restorability of this tooth is under question. So in these cases, what I like to do is I like to just book a half-an-hour appointment. We remove all the decay. We obviously try and put a solid filling on this tooth, and then we dress it. And what I say to the patient is we charge them a set fee. Sometimes it's £135, sometimes it's a little bit more. And we say to the patient, it's £135 say for half an hour. And in this appointment, we're going to see if it's savable. Okay, and if it isn't savable, then we just dress the tooth, and then we can refer you back to your normal dentist where the tooth is extracted. Or we're going to shore this tooth up, we're going to seal this tooth off, we're going to dress it with an antibiotic, ready for your root canal at a later date. So if we look here, this is an example of a low rise 6, and it's got a significant amount of decay. And if we just use this excavator here, you can see that there is a hell of a lot of decay, and distally and near the margin, we're really unsure if this tooth is savable or not. And I would say in the first instance, what we want to do is we want to pick up our rosehead with a slow handpiece, and I'm using an air motor here. And what I like to do is just use maybe a size 6 or a size 8 rosehead, and I just try and remove as much as the gross decay as much as possible. Now granted, in this tooth it was quite a lot of decay, so when we washed it away, it looked like I've been drilling for ages, but there's still a lot of decay left. I'm going to increase the size of my rosehead. Now the problem with increasing the size of the rosehead is sometimes it doesn't cut as efficiently. When we've got a significant amount of decay, it removes more and in a quick fashion. And once we removed the vast majority of the decay, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to move over to my fast handpiece, and I'm going to remove the decay and any undermined enamel. Okay, so we want to make sure that we've got no overhanging enamel pieces because they'll break off when we restore them. And what we're going to do is we're going to do a little bit of fast handpiece, and we're going to use a little bit of rosehead, and it's kind of removing the enamel with the fast handpiece and then using the rosehead at the margins to try and remove as much as decay as possible. And again, if you're new to dentistry, you'll know that the rosehead really only removes soft dentin. So once we move on to enamel or dentin that is sound, then the rosehead doesn't cut as efficiently, and that's a way of knowing how deep to use your drills in these cases. So once we've removed the decay and I've opened up the pulp chamber, I'm going to use my ultrasonic, and I'm just going to try and open up the canal spaces to try and see if we can see, this is the lower 6, see if there's 3 canal spaces, and give it a good old clean out here. And you can see it's all nice and clean and ready to just check the confirmation of the canals. And I'm just going to use a size 10 file here just to confirm that all these orifices open, because it's at this point you're thinking the tooth is savable, but obviously you've got the canals that are open. I'm going to use a little bit of PTFE tape just to push into the canal spaces in the pulp chamber. And what this is going to do is it's going to protect the open canal spaces when we come to restore this tooth. Because I remember when I first qualified, I didn't do this, and I was building up the distal wall of a tooth, and then I used bond without protecting the canals, and this blocked the canals completely, and it was a bit of a nightmare. So always make sure that you are protecting the canal orifices when you are ready to restore. And it's also important to protect the canal orifices when you're removing the decay, and especially pieces like amalgam or whatever, because they can drop down the canal space as well. We're then going to selectively etch and bond. I'm just going to use the etch around the enamel margins and going to let that settle for a little bit, and then just going to use a brush to push it into the rest of the cavity. And this is conditioning the enamel and the dentin ready for our bond. And I have been known to use a self-etch bond, but I feel like in this case, using a two-step method here is probably better and probably more cost-effective as well. And you'll notice here that this is quite a significant gap between the mesial aspect of the lower right 7 and the distal aspect of this tooth. And we're going to have to use some kind of sectional matrices. And in this case, let's call this the buccal wall is missing. So if you use a sectional matrices in this case, it's not going to work very well. So we're going to have to build up the buccal wall of this tooth before we use this matrices. We're then going to use our Palladent deep sectional matrices in this case because it's quite deep down. We're going to use a large ring from the Palladent set. And then once we've placed the ring, we're going to adapt the sectional matrices against the mesial aspect of this lower right 7. And once you have adapted this sectional matrices, we're again going to use a wedge. And this wedge makes sure there's a nice tight seal between the sectional matrices and the margins of this tooth. And now it's just kind of a simple case of just building up the distal aspect of this lower right 6. And you know, if you do a lot of composites, it's suggested that you create the sort of distal wall of a tooth, and then you remove the sectional matrices. But in this case, what we're going to do is we're going to place the distal wall of this tooth, and then we're going to remove the sectional matrices, but we're not going to continue to fill or build up the tooth from here, because we've got to make sure we've got a nice cavity within this tooth ready for when we see this patient next. We can just pop the rubber dam on, and then we can just commence the root canal straight away. I personally like just to use a white stone just to remove any of the flash that's occurred when we place this distal wall. And there you have it. You know, you've got a nice restoration there. You've got an open access cavity. We're just going to remove the PTFE tape that was protecting the canal orifices. And it's difficult to see here, but you can see that there's 3 canal orifices nice and open. Now we're ready to dress the tooth. We're going to use a non-setting calcium hydroxide. We're going to use a size 10K file just to dress the coronal third of these canal spaces with our non-setting calcium hydroxide. We're then going to place a PTFE tape on top of this, and you know, if you've looked at a lot of my videos, you'll see that I'm a massive advocate of using PTFE over, say, cotton wool. What you'll notice is when you place your final restoration on top, so in this case we're going to use a GIC. If you use cotton wool, it gets all enmeshed, and then when you come to drill it out, it's a bit of a mess. It gets on your burr and things like that. So I am a huge fan of PTFE. The problem with PTFE, of course, is it doesn't soak up the intracanal medicament. So sometimes I will use cotton wool, but in this case, I'm happy that I've got down the canal spaces, and then I'm just going to push the PTFE on top. And then we're ready just to place a bit of GIC on top, bit of glass ionomer. You know, I'm a huge advocate of using glass ionomer. I feel like it's a little bit more robust than, say, Cavit. I just used to like to use my thumb as well, just to smooth it over. It doesn't look very professional, but I just feel like it's quick and it does a nice job. And then just to top it off, we're going to use a little bit of Vaseline just to protect the filling on top. And there you have it. You know, you look at this tooth and it's looking 100 times better than it did. So we look at the previous image of this tooth, it looks a massive mess, and now we've got a nice solid filling in this tooth. The great thing about this is obviously it's going to create a good seal. So you have, you know, you've sealed the tooth up, you've put an intracanal medicament down there, that's going to set off your disinfection for next time. Also, once you place your rubber dam when you're doing the root canal next time, it's going to make sure you get everything sealed in. You're going to keep the saliva out, and also, really importantly, it's going to keep the bleach within the tooth, and it's not going to leak out. And there we have it. Listen, if you like these videos, thank you so much for watching these videos. I'd love for you to like and subscribe. That really helps support the channel. If you want to support the channel even further, we've got a membership program here in YouTube. The membership program has a few little bonuses. Obviously, it supports the channel. It keeps me independent and makes me, have my own views on things, and I'm not bought by anybody. But also, if you do join the membership program, you have early access to content. And also, if you ask a question in the comment section below and you are a member, I will reply to you with a video short, and that's found in the members area. Overall, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.